Gennady Mikhasevich, born April 7, 1947, in Vitebsk Oblast, Belarusian SSR, was a Soviet serial killer and rapist known as the Vitebsk Strangler. From 1971 to 1985, he murdered at least 36 women, confessed to 43, with estimates suggesting up to 55 victims, strangling them in Vitebsk, Polotsk, and nearby rural areas. Convicted in 1985, he was executed by firing squad in 1987. In this documentary, we delve into his crimes through the lens of psychology and psychoanalysis to uncover what drove this chilling killing spree. Why shine a spotlight on Gennady Mikhasevich? Because his crimes are a psychological puzzle wrapped in a nightmare, a man who hid behind a mask of normalcy while strangling dozens of women with cold precision. His ability to blend into Soviet society as a family man and Communist Party member, even joining the hunt for himself as a volunteer militiaman, makes him a haunting case study in deception and depravity. Picture this. May 1984, a lonely road near Vitebsk. A young woman, hitchhiking to visit family, climbs into a red Zaporizhzhia driven by a polite stranger. Hours later, her body lies in a ditch, rye-cord tied around her neck, her jewelry gone, her scissors now a twisted gift for the killer's wife. Mikhasevich's 14-year reign of terror saw women raped, strangled, and robbed, their bodies dumped along motorways. One victim, found in 1985, had a note stuffed in her mouth. Death to the unfaithful, signed by the fictional Patriots of Vitebsk. His methodical brutality and chilling audacity, killing 12 women in 1984 alone, demand we dig into the mind behind the horror. Let's step back to Ist, a small village in Vitebsk Oblast, 1947. Gennady Mikhasevich was born into a world shaped by post-war Soviet hardship. Details on his early life are scarce, but we know his family struggled, living in a rural backwater where survival often trumped affection. His father, a distant figure, offered little warmth, per Mikhasevich's own account to police, leaving him to fend for himself emotionally. He only spoke to me for work or to yell, he later said, hinting at a home where discipline overshadowed love. School wasn't much better. Gennady was an average student at best, mocked for his awkwardness, and pulled out early to work, per Wikipedia. By his teens, he was isolated, carrying a quiet rage that would fester. Psychologically, this points to what attachment theory calls avoidant attachment. A kid ignored or dismissed by caregivers learns to bottle emotions, seeing the world as cold and untrustworthy. Add the Soviet Union's rigid, oppressive culture, and you've got a pressure cooker for resentment. Psychoanalytically, Freud's concept of the repressed ID fits here. Gennady's anger, buried deep, waited for a trigger. That trigger came in 1971, after his army service, when he returned to find his girlfriend had married another man. I was desolate, he told investigators, claiming he planned to hang himself, but instead turned his rope on a stranger. This pivot from suicide to murder suggests a psychological displacement, redirecting his pain onto others, a classic sign of unresolved trauma. What kind of mind strangles 36 women over 14 years? Mikhasevich's psyche is a dark mosaic of disorders. Antisocial personality disorder is a strong contender, marked by a lack of empathy and manipulative charm. He was a psychopath, no question. Forensic biologist Dr. Mark Bennick said, after studying his case, noting his ability to charm victims while feeling nothing for their suffering. Psychopathy's hallmarks, superficial charm, impulsivity, and callousness, fit his pattern of luring women with a friendly facade before killing them. Narcissism likely played a role, too, gifting stolen jewelry to his wife, and keeping victims' items like scissors as trophies screams a need for control and superiority. Psychoanalytically, Mikhasevich's crimes reflect Jung's shadow archetype, his suppressed rage and shame projected onto women he deemed unfaithful or lewd. His claim of a breakup sparking his spree suggests a deep misogyny, possibly rooted in rejection by his girlfriend or a distant mother. He saw women as objects to punish, criminologist Alexander Bukhanovsky might argue, drawing parallels to other serial killers who externalize inner pain. His heavy drinking, noted in police reports, lowered inhibitions, letting his sadistic impulses run free. While he claimed no sexual motive in early killings, later rapes suggest a sexual sadism disorder, where power and violence fueled his arousal. His organized approach, luring victims, using improvised weapons like rye cords, shows a calculating mind, not a psychotic one, ruling out schizophrenia despite his desponding claims. It's May 14th, 1971, a dark night on a Vitebsk road. A young woman, alone, accepts a ride from a soft-spoken man in a red Zaporizets. She doesn't know he's Gennady Mikhasevich. Reeling for his girlfriend's betrayal, a rope meant for his own neck now in his hands. He drives her to a secluded spot, strangles her with a cord, and leaves her body in a ditch, her necklace tucked in his pocket for his future wife. This was his first kill, but not his last. Over 14 years, he raped and strangled at least 36 women, often near motorways in Vitebsk and Polotsk. The bodies were bruised, throats crushed, investigator Nikolai Ignatievich told The Guardian, describing ligature marks and signs of prolonged struggle. One 1984 victim, a 20-year-old hitchhiker, was found with her skirt torn, a rye cord around her neck, and her earrings missing. His method was chillingly consistent. Pose as a friendly driver, lure women into his car, drive to remote areas, rape, and strangle them with ropes, belts, or even their own scarves. He'd rob them of jewelry, money, even scissors, later gifting items to his wife, a twisted mockery of affection. In 1985, he left a note in a victim's mouth. Death to the unfaithful. Fight the coppers and communists. Signed Patriots of Vitebsk, a fake group he invented to taunt police. It was like he was playing with us. Ignatievich said, per Reddit. His 1984 spree, 12 kills, was his bloodiest, fueled by confidence and a crumbling investigation that wrongly convicted others. Mikhasevich's victims were young women, often hitchhikers or those alone on rural roads, vulnerable and trusting. Psychologically, this reflects opportunistic victimology. He targeted those least likely to be missed in a chaotic Soviet system. His girlfriend betrayal was a stated trigger, suggesting a deep-seated misogyny. He saw women as unfaithful, deserving punishment, Bennett noted, linking his rage to rejection. Psychoanalytically, Melanie Klein's bad object theory applies. Women became symbols of his pain, betrayal, and powerlessness, possibly tied to a distant mother or societal pressures. His choice of strangulation, a deeply personal act, suggests a need to dominate, to feel their life slip away under his hands. His rapes, more frequent in later years, point to sexual sadism, where control and pain fueled his arousal. By targeting women on motorways, he exploited their isolation, mirroring his own emotional isolation. He picked the forgotten. A Vitebsk detective said, per all that's interesting, his disguises, friendly driver, concerned citizen, were psychological tools, masking his intent until it was too late. The Patriots of Vitebsk notes reveal a narcissistic taunt, a desire to mock authorities while asserting his power. Here's the scariest part. Mikhasevich wasn't a loner lurking in shadows. He was a family man, married in 1976, father to 2 kids, a teetotaler who didn't smoke, per Wikipedia, a Communist Party member and secretary. He was a model Soviet citizen, even volunteering for the People's Druzhina, a militia group hunting the killer himself. He was the guy you'd trust, a co-worker told Pravda, describing his quiet charm. This duality screams compartmentalization, a psychological trick where he separated his killer self from his public persona. His job at an auto repair shop gave him access to cars, including the red Zaporizets police sought, letting him kill with ease. His involvement in the investigation was a masterstroke of manipulation. As a Druzinik, he knew police moves, dodging their traps while planting false leads. He was hunting himself. Ignatievich said, per executed today. This audacity points to narcissistic grandiosity. He thrived on outsmarting everyone. Yet his home life showed cracks. Heavy drinking, noted by police, fueled his violence, and his wife unknowingly wore victims' jewelry, a chilling blend of normalcy and horror. The hunt for the Vitebsk Strangler was a mess. 14 years, 14 wrongfully convicted, 1 executed, per Pravda. Early investigators dismissed a serial killer, blaming separate murders, a Soviet denial of Western crimes. In the 1980s, Nikolai Ignatievich pushed the serial killer theory, focusing on the red Zaporizets. Mikhasevich, as a Druzinik, joined the search, learning police tactics. His fatal mistake came in 1985, an anonymous letter to a newspaper claiming Patriots of Vitebsk were killing lewd women. A similar note, stuffed in a victim's mouth, triggered a massive handwriting analysis of 556 000 samples. Mikhasevich's matched. It was him all along, Gennady told The Guardian. Arrested December 9, 1985, at his brother-in-law's house with plane tickets to Odessa, he confessed to 43 murders. Convicted, he was executed by a firing squad in 1987. Psychiatrists deemed him sane, diagnosing psychopathy. Mikhasevich's life is a grim meditation on Nietzsche's will to power, a man seeking dominance through violence to escape his inner weakness. His girlfriend's betrayal was a spark, but his choice to kill for 14 years was his own. Sartre's existential freedom weighs heavy. He wasn't just a victim of heartbreak, but a man who embraces darkness, choosing murder over healing. His execution feels like justice, yet it exposes a system that failed his victims and the wrongfully convicted. He laughed about his crimes, a Reddit user noted, citing his interviews, a chilling sign of his detachment. His story asks, does society's neglect of pain breed monsters, or do they choose to become them? Imagine being a hitchhiker in Vitebsk, trusting a kind driver, only to feel a cord tighten around your neck. Picture the husband executed for Mikhasevich's crime, or the families of 36 women, left with nothing but grief. The whole region lived in fear, a Vitebsk resident told Pravda. His case exposed Soviet flaws, corrupt police, a denial of serial killers, and innocent lives ruined. As you watch, feel the chill of a man who killed in plain sight, a model citizen who was anything but. Mikhasevich's legacy is a warning. Evil can hide behind the most ordinary face.